Full starting contingent for Tennessee, and Coach Barnes will join us momentarily. As you can see, Jordan Bone, Admiral Schofield, Lamonte Turner, Grant Williams, and Kyle Alexander. And again, please, especially with all 5 of our players, please direct your question to a specific player. If you'd like multiple players to answer your question, then just let us know that. But please have at least one name to start all your questions with. And we're ready to go.
Lamonte, I know you guys, right here. Well, I know you guys have said you guys have allowed 15 threes in the last 2 games, and you guys have said guys are just hitting tough shots. But do you think part of that is you guys allowing teams to get into a rhythm early and kind of getting things going?
Yeah, I think in those games, our offense taking tough shots, not getting the shot that we want, not making them work, kind of leading out to them opening the floor and kind of driving and kicking and them getting the momentum. So I think it's our offense that kind of lead to stuff like that.
Question for Grant. What are your thoughts on Tyler Cook, Iowa's power forward, and what have you seen from him if you've watched him this year?
Very talented. I've known him for a couple of years. Tyler's very athletic. He's dominant in the post. He's developed his game a lot, and tremendous respect for him. He's done a lot through EYBL and everything. He's always been a talented player, so it's exciting to play him.
Jordan, that was good. That was a good question about knowing other guys. Generally, with teams that you match up against, how much do you know them because of AAU days or playing with them somewhere maybe in the same area as you did in high school? No, any team in particular that you play. How many times do you run into guys that you know other than matching up with them during the course of a year?
Right. I've run into a couple guys. I have a lot of guys that, played on the circuit with me in the AAU days. I've seen a lot of familiar faces. I'm not really sure how to put names with them, but I've definitely seen a lot of familiar faces. So I just think it's really exciting and shows how important the AAU is. Just playing in the circuit, getting that exposure, and now just seeing everybody all together on this large playing field of NCAA basketball just means a lot.
Jordan, question for you. Now that you're back at this stage, have you at all thought about, or maybe it's distant memory, that last shot last year against Loyola?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of questions about that Loyola game. I feel like moving forward from that, it's definitely something that you remember. I kind of used it as motivation during my off season, and I feel like this team kind of uses moments like that, not just Loyola specifically, but tough losses and just kind of being in the trenches. We kind of use that as motivation in order for us to be the team that we are today. And I feel like it's very important to use moments like that as motivation to make you better.
And, sorry.
Go ahead.
Grant, question for you. Kind of along those lines, unfinished business, I think, is a key motivator for a lot of teams at this stage. How much do you feel like this group just takes that personally?
I know for us, just the type of competitors we are, that we're going to come in with the mindset we're going to play every game to the best of our ability. But there's always that extra motivation because we've never been counted on. We've never been boosted up. Anytime we've gotten up, everyone wants to see us fall down. So it's just a matter of being who we are and embracing that. We understand that we're doing this for each other and not for anybody else. So that's the motivation that we have.
Question for Admiral. You've had a lot of, obviously had the big shots last night. You've had so many games this season where you've, come up big down the stretch. Is there one moment you can point back to in your collegiate career that's helped you, help springboard you into the leader you've become today?
I think the biggest moment that helped me as far as leadership would be the Georgia game 2 years ago, missing a game-winning opportunity for my team. And just seeing the disappointment on our faces when we knew our backs were against the wall. And I just thought that from that point on, I was going to do everything I could to help lead and be an example of what winning looks like. And I just think from there on, not just me, I think everyone sitting at this table did a great job of just instilling in everybody in our program that, we won't be denied anymore from what we've been working hard for, because we've been putting a lot of work in. So I would say that moment, and also Coach Barnes, running us a lot. But I think that was a big motivator for us too, to stop losing so we didn't have to run as much.
Go ahead.
This goes to Kyle. Kyle, how much fun are you guys having up here together, just as a group? You know, getting to experience the tournament and everything that kind of goes into it. You know, for some, it's kind of the last go around here. So, just love to know your answer on that.
I'm having a great time personally. I love these guys. This is probably the funniest group of guys I've ever been around in my life. So it's always a trip. But no, we're having a great time enjoying this. You know, some guys it's their first time. It's great to have worked so hard that we got a chance to be back here together. So you know, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it, and I just hope that we make it last.
For Jordan Bone, Jordan, just how much more prepared do you think you guys are for tomorrow because of last year? I mean, and just for this moment.
Hold up, real quick.
No cell phones.
Mom.
No live broadcasting.
That was my homeboy. Sorry about that.
That's crazy.
No live broadcasting.
17.
You know, to answer your question, I think we're very prepared. I feel like, you know, moments in the past kind of helped us get to this point. Even yesterday was tough, you know, playing against Colgate, but I felt like they prepared as well for a team like Iowa. They're very similar, even though Iowa is bigger, much more physical. It kind of gave us a taste of, you know, playing against guards that can hit the open shot, playing against random motion offense, just being on edge. I feel like they got us prepared for tomorrow. So I feel like all in all, we're just ready to attack tomorrow. We're ready for this situation. We prepared. The preparation has been very important getting up to this point. So at this point, we just have to, you know, execute and do our game plan.
Question for Admiral. A guy like Luka Garza who can pop out and hit those shots, how do you guys defend people like that? And maybe have you gone against guys like that earlier this year that you can kind of compare to?
Well, we've gone against a lot of teams that have what we call like a prototypical stretch four, a guy that can step out and, you know, space the floor offensively. But, I mean, it's March. And like I said yesterday, it seems like everybody's percentage goes up at least 10% in March. So all you can do is really just make the shots tough as possible. And, you know, the game is never perfect. And they're a talented team. Luke Garza, he hit 3 yesterday, but, you know, his percentage doesn't say that he's a, you know, big-time three-point shooter, but that's just, it's March, and guys are competing, and players make plays around this time of the year, so you got to respect everybody's ability to shoot the ball, especially a team like Iowa. And their pure motion offense is great because they get a lot of just different, get into a lot of different actions and space the floor and get their guys good shots and good looks, and they move the ball well. So basically, you just got to communicate at a high level, and nothing's going to be perfect, but can't beat yourselves by giving them extra possessions or giving them offensive rebounds and things like that. So they're going to hit their shots, we're going to hit ours, and, you know, we're both going to compete, and it's going to be a good game.
Lamonte, this time of year, the officials are also officials that you don't necessarily know from the SEC. Do you find that it is a different game depending on the officials that you have?
Well, yeah, definitely for a guy like me that likes to get up and kind of pressure the ball. You kind of got to get a feel of, you know, what these officials call, like the different type of calls they call, you know, with like hand checks and stuff like that. So beginning of the game, coach always tells us to kind of, you know, get a feel for everything. That way you're not getting silly fouls and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely big around this time of the year. And being older guys, you know, you understand that different officials have different type of calls and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Nice. Anybody else? Great. Terrific job as always. We appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Kyle, you got to grow up, bro.
Coach Barnes, in just a couple of
Gotta
minutes.
grow up, Kyle.
Coach is well rested and ready for your questions. Go ahead.
Rick, you've given up 15 threes the last 2 games. How much of that is a concern to you going forward?
Well, some of those have been unbelievable shots that I don't think we could defend it any other way than we did. I mean, they're going to make some of them, but some of the shots that all you can do is get as close as you can, try to contest a shot without fouling, and some of those are really deep threes, and we played 2 teams that shot it great. And but when you can win a game in the NCAA tournament when a team makes 15 threes like that, and the crowd's pulling for them, and I thought we showed the maturity that we needed to show. But it's not that we're not trying to defend the three-point line. It's not. I mean, you got to give them credit for they making the shots. I mean, it's not like they're layups either. They're making shots from very deep range, and that's part of the game. And that three-point line is a great equalizer in some ways.
Coach, you guys are pretty much in the exact same spot you were this time a year ago. How much more prepared or do you think your kids are to handle what's going to happen tomorrow?
Well, I think, again, they realize how this time of year, how it's a matter of executing, doing what you have to do, and having a lot of respect for your opponent, which I know they do. And but it's about, again, this time of year, teams know each other. You know your own team. Every player should know his role, what he has to do, and you want to see your players do what you've asked them to do all year and do it at a very high level, and know that it's going to be hard because teams right now should be playing their best basketball.
Coach, you said you're not guarding the three-point line, but maybe you're guarding personnel more, and does it make it more challenging when you have 4 shooters on the floor at a time like Iowa?
Yeah, well, I mean, we played Auburn; they had 5. So it's always a challenge when you have to guard the three-point line, and then you throw the fact in that Iowa's got an inside game too, where they very much will play inside out. But if they get good looks at it, they're going to take it. I don't think they force a lot of threes, and the last 2 opponents, they were going to live on that three-point line. I don't think Iowa feels they have to live back there, but certainly our last 2 opponents have, that's what they were willing to do: shoot 30, 40 threes if necessary, But, yeah, that line is there, and you've got to deal with it.
It's been there 32 years. Can
Yeah.
you have imagined the evolution that we are here today and talking about taking 35 or 40 of those?
Well, and again, I looked at last night when I was watching the tape, and, there's experimenting right now in the NIT with moving that line back, and I bet they made 10 of them yesterday behind that line. And so maybe we should think about moving it back even further. But the fact is, it's been good for the game, and it's helped our game. Yeah, I mean, teams go in it sometimes knowing they're going to shoot 30, 43s.
Is there a mid-range game anymore?
We believe in that. We do. We believe in that, and a lot of people want to either shoot a layup or shoot the 3, but we still believe there's a place for the mid-range game.
Over here in the corner.
Yeah, Rick, how important is Kyle in this particular matchup, keeping him on the floor, of course, with Garza and then Kreiner, also big, athletic bigs?
It is important, but I think all of our frontline guys, Kyle, Grant, I think Derek Walker will have to be ready to play, and John Fulkerson. But and Kyle actually did a good job yesterday. He really did, and we got where we felt like we needed to go with some offense, and we went with the small lineup that's really one of our most efficient lineups. But we need Kyle. We're going to need him tomorrow, and we're expecting him to give us a great effort and do his job.
Coach, it looked like Iowa changes defense a lot, will work in a lot of zone. Just how important is it that you play inside out, not get lured into settling like you say?
Yeah, I think it's important that we flow, that we play, and yesterday, they were back in there as far as you could probably go, and I think that we've got to work hard at taking the slack out of it, get the ball moving, and do the things that we do. And we've been good against zones all year, really, and we just got to continue to do what we've practiced all year and the way we played. We got to get our post guys working better than they did yesterday.
Rick, Admiral had said that the springboard to him really becoming the clutch shot maker and the leader that he is today was that Georgia game 2 years ago in the SEC tournament. Do you agree with that? What's been your perspective?
What did he say?
He said that the springboard for him to be able to, make big shots now and lead the team the way he does was that Georgia game when he missed the 3 a few years ago. Do you agree with that, or what's been your perspective on his growth as a big shot maker and as a leader?
Well, what I think of him, I think of the time he puts in the gym. I mean, he's in there working and working and working, and he's worked as hard as any player I've seen from the time that he started, to where he was a very erratic three-point shooter, and he wanted to shoot it, but he didn't know when he should shoot it. And but he's put so much time in working on his shot, and he's one of those guys when it leaves his hand and he has his feet set, you think it's going in.
Yesterday you mentioned the team was anxious. Do you think that was just a matter of it just being the first game of the tournament, and do you expect that to continue tomorrow?
No, again, I think the hard thing in this tournament is getting started, obviously, and I think that when you play the way we started out playing, but we weren't really aggressive as we were making some shots early, and then when the team and I can tell you they made some tough shots. I mean, it's not like we gave them some where we broke down in transition, but the fact is you got to give them credit. I mean, they made 15 threes, and I'm telling you they were pretty tough threes to make, and but I do think that we were a little bit anxious and maybe wanting to get back to where we have a chance to play again today, whatever it may be. But I expect us now to come out and realize this is like playing a conference game against anybody in your league where you have to be ready to play and hope that we can play well.
Is it about finding your rhythm, you think, after a little layoff?
Yeah, I mean, we did. We played on Sunday, and we had 3 games in 3 days, and we played 3 games. I don't know how many hours, and we knew coming into this we had to get our legs back and get our more than anything get our bodies back, and so we didn't do a lot coming into it, and I think some of it is getting your rhythm back and getting back to playing, and so that's. But now we know what we've got to do. We've just got to go out and execute.
Rick, I know that you're busy always preparing for the next game, but this time of year, do you watch a lot of basketball? Do you watch a lot of other games?
I don't. Personally, I don't, because I don't want to get sidetracked on anything. I want to stay really locked in. But I don't watch a lot during the season normally. I don't do that because I'm just going to – because I tell our guys that we've got to stay locked into what we're doing. And I watch a lot of film of us. I mean, we film practice, and I do a lot of that all the time. And but I've got a great coaching staff that we're always they're doing their jobs with scouting and know what they need to do. And but I just don't watch a lot of it. And this time of year, maybe because I feel like I'm in this hotel for a long time, I flip back and forth and all that and watch some here or there. But I don't like watching a lot because I don't want to get my mind going in directions and thinking about things other than what I should be thinking about.
Do you think your players, are they basketball fans? Do they watch a lot?
Oh, I think they watch everything. I think they're involved with it. But yet, and that's part of it too. It's a great time. I mean, it really is. And like prior to coming here, we were back there watching the LSU Maryland game like that. But I don't have the patience right now to sit down and watch a game from start to finish unless it's got something to do directly with us.
Rick, Dave Jones from Penn Live, Philadelphia. I know you started your career back here with Gary Williams and Fran Fraschilla and those guys. I think you were on that staff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
no, I was Fran took my place.
That's right. I wondered if you saw this locale and took stock of your career. I mean, you had a hell of a career, and where you were when you were a very young coach in George Mason and those places. How are you different now in dealing with this circus than you would have been back then?
Well, first of all, when after a game yesterday, I thought back immediately to I think it was 1979, where Fran McCaffrey and Sherman Dillard and I were working the University of Maryland basketball camp together, and so we've known each other for a long time. And one of the very first players we signed at George Mason was Sherman Dillard's brother, Ricky, and So we've known each other for a long time. And coming through here, the year I was here, I've told people maybe the greatest coaching job that I've ever been a part of was watching Gary Williams, what he did my time 1 year with him here. But you learn a lot. You know, I think as a young head coach, you sometimes can put a little bit more pressure on your team than you probably need to, and because you want to win, and you realize, one, that it's not something you ever take for granted. I mean, there's a lot of teams now that I mean, the thing is to get to this tournament every year. That's got to be your goal, and the way our business has turned into it seems like if you don't get there, good things don't happen to you, and or happen for you. But I think you learn, and you learn. I think as I've gotten older, the biggest thing I've learned to trust my players more, is probably as much as anything, and know that their hard work they put into it, and you've got to let them play the game, and you can't joystick it all the time and think you're going to try to control every possession. And as a young coach, I was probably guilty of that. Yeah.
Everybody good? Terrific.
All right. Thank
Great
you,
job
guys.
as always, Coach. Good luck.
Appreciate it.